You're running out of time. Not in some distant future, right now. Every day that passes without you managing your time is a day you'll never get back. And most people don't realize this until it's too late. They spend years being busy without being productive, working hard without moving forward. And they wake up one day wondering where all the time went. But there are people who accomplish in a year what most people accomplish in a decade. And it's not because they have more time, it's because they manage it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why time management isn't optional if you want to build the life you actually want, and the 3 practices that will let you take control of your time instead of letting it control you. I used to be terrible with time. I'd start every day with good intentions. I'm going to be productive. I'm going to focus. I'm going to get things done. And by the end of the day, I'd accomplished almost nothing. I was busy, I was exhausted, but I hadn't moved the needle on anything that actually mattered. I'd answer emails, scroll social media, put out fires, react to other people's urgency, and my own priorities got pushed to tomorrow, which became next week, which became next month, and I was stuck. Then I learned something that changed everything. Time isn't the problem. Everyone has the same 24 hours. The problem is how you use those hours. And most people use time the way they eat junk food. They consume whatever's in front of them without thinking about whether it's nourishing them. They let other people decide how their time gets spent, and they wonder why they're not making progress on what actually matters to them. Here's what we are covering. First, why time management is the difference between living the life you want and living the life that happens to you. Second, the biggest lie about productivity and why trying to do more is keeping you stuck. And third, the 3 practices that will let you take control of your time so you can actually build the life you want instead of just wishing for it. Let's start with why this matters. Time is the only resource you can't get more of. You can make more money, you can build more skills, you can create more opportunities, but you can't create more time. Once it's gone, it's gone. And every moment you spend doing something that doesn't align with what you actually value is a moment you're giving away forever. Most people don't think about it this way. They think time is infinite. They tell themselves, I'll do that important thing later. I'll start that project when I have more time. I'll focus on what matters when things calm down. But things never calm down. There's always another email, another request, another distraction. And if you don't actively manage your time, it will be managed for you. By other people, by urgency, by whatever's loudest in the moment. Here's what's actually happening. When you don't manage your time, you're living reactively. You wake up and respond to whatever comes at you. Someone sends an email, you drop everything to respond. Someone asks for your time, you say yes even though you don't want to. Something urgent comes up and it derails your entire day. You're not in control, you're being controlled. And at the end of the day, you're exhausted, but you haven't made progress on your own priorities. This is why time management isn't about productivity hacks. It's about agency. It's about deciding how your life gets spent instead of letting circumstance decide for you. It's about making conscious choices about where your attention goes, because attention is how you spend time, and how you spend time is how you spend your life. So if you're not managing your time, you're not managing your life. Now the biggest lie about productivity is this: if you do more, you'll accomplish more. And that's not true. Doing more just makes you busy. It doesn't make you effective, because most of what people do doesn't actually move the needle. They fill their day with tasks that feel productive but don't create meaningful progress. They mistake motion for progress and they stay stuck. Here's the truth. You don't need to do more. You need to do less, but you need to do the right things, the things that actually create the results you want. And most people can't tell the difference. They treat every task as equally important, every email as urgent, every request as their responsibility, and they spread their energy across 100 different things instead of concentrating it on the few things that matter. This is the Pareto principle. 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions, which means most of what you do doesn't matter. It's busy work. It makes you feel productive, but it doesn't move you forward. And if you don't identify what actually matters and protect your time for that, you'll spend your entire life being busy without making progress. I learned this the hard way. I used to work 12-hour days and get nothing done. I'd answer every email, attend every meeting, say yes to every request, and I was exhausted, but I wasn't making progress on my goals. because I wasn't protecting my time for what actually mattered, I was giving it away to whatever was in front of me. And it took me years to realize being busy is not the same as being effective. Now, here's how you actually take control of your time so you can build the life you want instead of just reacting to the life that happens to you. Practice number 1. Identify your top 3 priorities and protect time for them every single day. Most people have 100 priorities, which means they have 0 priorities, because when everything is important, nothing is important. You need to get ruthlessly clear on what actually matters to you. What are the 3 things that if you made progress on them every day would change your life? Not what's urgent, not what other people want, what actually matters to you. For most people, this might be building a skill, creating something meaningful, taking care of your health, or it might be growing your business, deepening your relationships, working on your mental well-being. The specifics don't matter. What matters is that you get clear on your top 3, and then you protect time for them every single day. Here's how you do it. You block time on your calendar for your priorities before anything else gets scheduled. Not at the end of the day when you're exhausted, not whenever you have free time. First thing, when your energy is highest, when your focus is sharpest. You treat this time as non-negotiable. It's not a maybe, it's not if I have time. It's this is happening no matter what. And you say no to everything else that tries to take that time. Someone wants a meeting during your priority time, you say no or reschedule. An email comes in, it can wait. A distraction appears, you ignore it. Because you've decided this time is for what actually matters, not for what's urgent, not for what other people want, for what you've identified as your priority. When I started doing this, everything changed. I blocked 2 hours every morning for writing. No meetings, no emails, no distractions, just writing. And in 6 months, I'd written more than I had in the previous 5 years. Because I'd protected time for what mattered instead of letting it get crowded out by everything else. Practice number 2. Batch similar tasks and eliminate decision fatigue. Every time you switch tasks, your brain has to reset. You lose focus, you lose momentum, and you waste energy. This is called context switching, and it's killing your productivity. When you jump from email to a phone call to a project to social media and back to email, you're fragmenting your attention. And fragmented attention produces fragmented results. Here's what you do instead. You batch similar tasks together. All your emails get answered in one block. All your calls happen in one window. All your creative work happens in another. You're not switching contexts constantly. You're staying in one mode and going deep. And this dramatically increases the quality and speed of your work. You also eliminate unnecessary decisions. Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day, not because he was lazy, because he didn't want to waste mental energy deciding what to wear. Decision fatigue is real. Every decision you make depletes your willpower, and if you're making 100 small decisions throughout the day, you're exhausted before you even start on what matters. So you automate, you create routines, you decide once instead of deciding constantly. What time do you wake up? Same time every day. What do you eat for breakfast? Same thing. When do you work on your priorities? Same time block. You're removing decisions that don't matter so you can preserve your energy for decisions that do. Practice number 3. Review and adjust weekly so you're always learning what works and what doesn't. Time management isn't something you set once and forget. It's a practice. You try things, you see what works, you adjust, and you get better over time. But most people never review. They just keep doing the same things even when they're not working, and they wonder why they're not making progress. Here's what you do. Every week, you sit down and review. What did I actually accomplish this week? What mattered? What didn't? Where did my time go? What drained me? What energized me? And based on that reflection, you adjust for next week. You cut what didn't work. You protect more time for what did. You're constantly refining your system. This weekly review is where the real growth happens. Because you're not just managing your time, you're learning how to manage it better. You're identifying patterns, you're seeing where you're wasting energy, and you're making conscious choices about how to improve. Without this reflection, you're just repeating the same mistakes over and over. I do this every Sunday. I look at my calendar for the past week. I ask, did I protect time for my priorities? Where did I get distracted? What meetings were a waste? What could I have said no to? And then I plan next week with those lessons in mind. And every week I get a little bit better at using my time the way I actually want to. Here's what I want you to understand. Time management isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about deciding what matters and protecting time for it. It's about saying no to what doesn't serve you so you can say yes to what does. And it's about remembering that how you spend your days is how you spend your life. We covered why time management is non negotiable. It's the difference between living the life you want and living the life that happens to you. We broke down the productivity lie. Doing more doesn't mean accomplishing more. And we walked through 3 practices. Identify your top 3 priorities and protect time for them. Batch tasks and eliminate decision fatigue. And review weekly to keep improving. This isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. It's about being ruthless with your time so you can be generous with your life. And it's about understanding that you can't do everything, but you can do what matters if you protect time for it. So here's your practice for today. Identify your top 3 priorities, the things that if you made progress on them every day would change your life. Write them down. Then block time on your calendar for tomorrow, 2 hours, for one of those priorities, and protect that time like your life depends on it, because it does. Let me know in the comments, what are your top 3 priorities and what's stealing your time that you need to say no to? You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. The question is, are you spending them on what actually matters? Welcome to taking control of your time. This is where your life changes.